Am I the butthole for refusing to pay for my husband's meal at the restaurant? Me female, 30 and my husband male, 32 have been married for 4 months. He likes to be independent in everything. Especially when it comes to money. He's bad with money, meaning he never plans for tomorrow and enjoys buying new things every day. I approached him with the idea of having a joint account. And he said okay. But sadly he took it as in his salary was doubled up and kept purchasing stuff that are expensive without even running it through me. It was just like grab money and go spend it. Not okay because we have commitments. I talked to him. His response is that since his money's in that account, meaning he doesn't have to tell me about where he spends it because technically, it's his money. He admitted joint account was bad idea and unnecessary. In his words, am I crazy to think that everyone should just be able to have their own money to spend regardless of whether they were married or not? We decided that each of us have our own salary but both equally pay for everything. He agreed long as he could buy whatever he want with his money. Last night he suggested we go eat at a restaurant. I assumed each of us pay for our own meals. We arrived and he ordered more dishes than I did and 2 types of desserts. When it was time for paying, I asked the waitress for separate bills and my husband looked confused when he heard. He said, "You're not going to pay for my meal too?" I told him it's his decision that each of us pay for everything individually. Told him this is what separate finances means. He got upset saying he spent all the money he had before coming to the restaurant and didn't think I'd actually decline to pay. So it's fair that I pay for dinner. After he argued and threw a fit, I just paid for my meal and was about to leave when he called me selfish and mean. He came home 2 hours later telling me his buddy came and paid for his meal no problem. He said I shouldn't have declined to pay for his meal and was being mean to him. I told him to not take his misplaced anger out on me, but he still argued with me about what I did and how unacceptable it was. After that, I took some time to calm down. We had a talk this morning and when I suggested therapy, first thing he said okay, but who's paying? Then reminded me of what I did and how unacceptable it was. He keeps bringing it up and wants me to apologize. In case our jobs are relevant, I'm a secretary and he's a police officer. Not the butthole, but geez, how did it get to this point? What was the financial discussion like before marriage? I mean, if this isn't resolved, somehow the marriage will fall apart. I totally agree. This guy's financial responsibility should have been seen as some sort of sign long before getting married. I'm not saying it can't work out in the end, but both original poster and their spouse didn't talk enough about expenses. And the guy is a cop. Someone who behaves this irresponsibly, with this quick of a trigger, so to speak, is a cop. Totally normal. The job attracts a specific type. Look up the domestic abuse rates for cops' spouses. His job was definitely not surprising. I really think this lady needs to leave the relationship. 4 months into a marriage and this is how they speak to each other. How they treat one another? Not the butthole, keep your money and run. There's not a red flag flying for me. It's a 100 feet long red parade with banners and a very loud marching band. Mardi Gras style. If he's this problematic with money and acts this way when things don't go his way, where else are there hidden problems? With bagpipes, fireworks, air horns, etc. Maybe a few people on stilts and one of that car dealership weighty things. Probably never paid for a meal while on duty. Surprised he didn't just flash the tin for a free meal after you left. That's not good. It makes him potentially very susceptible to being bribed, blackmailed, or stealing money off of any arrests he is involved in. Oh God, can you imagine the poor criminals he has abused and overused his powers on? Exactly. This stuff is exactly why my fiancé and I wanted to live together and share expenses long before getting engaged. Far easier to split up from living together than getting a divorce, and really risky to share money and assets through marriage before you know how financially responsible that person is. If this isn't resolved, somehow the marriage will fall apart. Yeah. Even if they keep separate finances, that may not be legally the case. Original poster, talk to a financial advisor. If your husband is a police officer and living paycheck to paycheck, unless you're in a super high cost of living area, he's wasting thousands of dollars a month. Whatever you do, do not have kids with this man. It's also worrisome to me that a police officer should be so bad with his finances, which makes him most vulnerable when it comes to bribery. I think there's some sort of rule that says police officers have to be in good credit standing. Otherwise, they're susceptible to things like bribery, and bad credit can be a sign of bad judgment and irresponsibility. I'm not saying it's foolproof given that credit doesn't tell the whole story, but I've seen kids with more financially stable practices than original poster's husband. Edit for visibility. I live in Texas, laughing out loud. I didn't realize credit could affect someone's employment as a law official until I did the research after seeing it on a show. I cross-referenced a couple of police departments to check, including my own city's. For example, I will admit the phrasing of my original comment isn't entirely accurate. It really should have been poor credit can be a disqualifier. Web link. This makes me wonder though, is that ongoing or just a check they do when you first apply? He may have been fined 20 years ago, but maybe it's now. I don't think that is a thing, or if it is, it isn't universal. My dad was a cop, and he had a lot of issues with finances. Yes, here in the UK they vet for that in recruitment. If you have any financial difficulties or bad credit, you won't be recruited. You are also required to report any financial difficulties you have to your supervisors, as it makes you more vulnerable to corruption. Seriously, and good point his job. Mind-blowing. I agree, this marriage is heading for divorce extremely fast. The fact that this guy is so irresponsible with money, unwilling to change, and thought he was entitled to spend original poster's salary without discussion is very alarming. He did that repeatedly from the mutual account and again when he thought original poster was paying for dinner, which tells us just how selfish he is. I think original poster did the right thing here. He learns either from this very fast, or in a couple of months original poster should hire herself a separate divorce lawyer. +1 on this ending in a messy divorce. Also, last night he suggested we go eat at a restaurant. He got upset, saying he spent all the money he had before coming to the restaurant and didn't think I'd actually decline to pay. So it's fair that I pay for dinner? After he argued and threw a fit. So he knew in advance he did not have the money to pay, but suggested to go to a restaurant. We arrived and he ordered more dishes than me and 2 types of desserts. He can't even blame original poster for picking an experienced place, since he still went ahead and ordered more food than original poster. Can't wait for an update from original poster where he is demanding for her to pay for his divorce lawyer. He may want to get his money's worth out of his new wife. 4 months in and they already have these serious financial problems. I can't see this marriage lasting long. My wife and I keep separate bank accounts and we don't check with each other for spending on general things for ourselves, but we split the household bills. I pay a bit more since my salary is higher. When we go out to eat, we switch off on who pays. I pay more often, but again, I make more, so it's just logical, at least to us. This seems like it is just poor financial management and even worse communication. Unfortunately, I don't think he's going to get better about how he handles money, so it's probably not going to work out in the long term. Honestly, this entire post is a good example why you discuss finances and don't ignore obvious bad money handling decisions, red flags before marriage. Yeah, no question he is a massive A here. I think joint accounts are a good idea for bills and stuff, but also prefer to keep my own account. Regardless, large purchases should always be communicated. That being said, not sure I would have left someone I was married to in a restaurant without means to pay though. Not the butthole, I would have to teach him a lesson in money management. But Hubs and we realized quickly that we were not going to meet our mutual financial goals by having dual accounts. We have joint accounts for most saving and spending. Anything and everything outside of normal budgeting gets talked about. We keep spending limits and alerts on CCs to remind us to stay in budget limits. The biggest spot for negotiation are the food spending. Hubs does not often go grocery shopping, so seeing food inflation hits him hard. Next is entertainment, dining out together category. We have a meals for work category since we each need to eat out with coworkers, do work-related events. Pre/post-COVID. We also keep separate accounts for each of us. We put $100 a month in those accounts. That is for personal spending, if we can't agree to spend some of the discretionary budget on something but you really want it, you can take it out of your personal account. If you spend all your personal account, then want to buy something, Well, that sucks to be you. Save up, and wait to buy it. Stuff that comes out of the personal account is generally single interest stuff, video games, ebooks. Gift money is that, it goes to each person. Husband wanted a new motorcycle for his master's degree graduation bonus. We paid for most of it out of the household budget, some was gifts, and the extras came out of his savings. When he wanted to buy a different bike, the money from the sale of bike 1 went back into his personal account. He paid for bike 2 with that plus additional money from his personal account. Insurance and gear come out of the household budget though, since we do have a budget for them. The motorcycle we rid together came out of the household budget. We still wrangle about money sometimes. Mostly because we have different money management, budgeting styles. The first few months were tough because ours did not equal a blank check to buy what you want was a mental adjustment for both of us. The way we do it, we have a shared account we each pay into, and the gas, electrics, mortgage, internet etc. go out of that. We each pay enough to cover it, amounts varying based on income. Anything we earn outside of that, we can spend ourselves. So I don't need to get my fiancé's permission to buy new shoes, and he doesn't need mine to upgrade his computer, as long as we can still pay towards our bills. It has worked fine so far. Big purchases we still discuss, but it's courtesy rather than asking for permission, and just to make sure we can still both save up for our shared future. This is exactly what my husband and I do. I know I can be a little controlling, so this way I literally have no say in what he spends his money on, as long as he's able to pay for our joint bills. Though admittedly something like going out to eat is considered a joint bill, just because my husband isn't an who would order 20 things while expecting me to pay for them. This marriage is already dead. There's no real good guy here. It's just a hot mess. Agreed. This is an untenable situation. Original poster needs to get a handle on this before it gets to the point where original poster is jointly liable for thousands of dollars in debt he's built up in secret. How's he going to survive retirement? How would she or the possible future children survive retirement, unemployment or any unexpected expense like a broken car? This is no way to live. Heck, my parents usually tell each other they're buying stuff or just consult beforehand, laughing my butt off. Guess my parents are really old-fashioned. Everyone sucks here. Firstly, you should have discussed this before you got married. Secondly, if you're already arguing over the cost of a meal 4 months in, you have problems that need solving pretty urgently. I was with you until you left him at the restaurant with no means to pay. That was a really petty way to win an argument, and it puts you both in the butthole basket. 4 months ago, you people vowed to love each other, and you need to do it. He was going to make her pay when he ate enough for like 3 people. He needs consequences. Those consequences also impact the restaurant/server/innocent people. Absolutely, but it's not fair to original poster that they separated their finances after her husband's irresponsible spending and he's still trying to spend her money. Especially when it was his idea to go out to eat and he ordered way more than her. I think the impact this had on other people makes original poster a bit of a TA, but her husband is a massive butthole. So, what she probably should have done is pay his meal, then leave him at the restaurant and serve him with divorce papers. I don't even know what to tell people like this. You knowingly married someone you describe as bad with money and who is now trying to spend your money because they already spent theirs. And they are being a jerk about it now? Just. Why are you with someone who brings nothing but stress to the relationship? People get all worked out that these subs offer divorce and break up so often, but really, life is just too short to spend our limited time putting up with crap like this. I honestly also don't see another way out here. You can't therapy or communicate someone out of seeing you as an equal with equal wants and needs. As much as what hubby wanted to spend his money on whatever he wants, wife wanted to do that too, but instead she has to also budget for and keep money for his use while he already spent all his money. That is such a basic lack of respect and empathy and ability to see someone else as a full human that I honestly don't see how it can be addressed. Some people are just not fit for relationships. Agreed. This isn't a small disagreement. This man has a personality trait that original poster hates. You can't find the right person while you are with the wrong one. I married in butthole. He's still in butthole after wedding. How do I fix him? Original poster needs to realize the only person you can change/control is yourself. If they want to stop getting crap on, they need to stop being near and butthole. No way, this is everyone sucks here. He was eating more than she was, even though he expected her to pay for it from the beginning. No, this is not the butthole. Just because the husband was being a major butthole doesn't take away from the fact that leaving your partner to a restaurant without no means to pay is still an move. Sure, husband was way bigger butthole, and sometimes it kind of feels justified to be butthole back at people, like original poster likely felt in this situation, but it was butthole move regardless. Leaving your partner to a restaurant without any means to pay is still an butthole move. Normally, I'd agree, but the husband said that he had spent all of his money earlier. So he knew he didn't have any money, still suggested eating out, and then ordered and ate like a glutton. He planned the whole thing. After trying to spend all of his partner's money, and then being stopped, he simply moved on to a more manipulative way of spending his partner's money, and was stopped. I mean, the only options original poster had were, A. Let husband spend her money after he spent all of his, or B. Take a hard stance that husband is not allowed to spend her money because he refuses to be a mature adult about money. Exactly. If she would have went with paying for his crap, it would have enabled his bad spending habits and made her into a doormat. Completely not the butthole. Sadly, most couples wait until after marriage to discuss finances. What happens when one of you starts earning more than the other? What happens when you have kids? Definitely, he needs therapy to understand how/why he needs to spend every dollar he earns. As well as you, both need financial planning. Potentially the best response is that each of you has to put in X% of your salary to a joint account that covers rent, utilities, emergency fund and other household expenses, groceries, etc. Anything left he can spend as he wishes without question from you, and you the same. Original poster replies, yes. He misunderstood how joint accounts work. He does help, but the issue is that he thinks that he gets to act like the joint account is his, but we have responsibilities and things to pay for. Do not buy a house or have kids with this loser. Separate your credit cards, banking, etc. Offer him the choice of marriage/financial counseling, or divorce. Better yet, just get out, it's only been 4 months. Or plan on subsidizing his compulsive spending and debts for the rest of your life. He sounds ridiculously immature and selfish. He's a police officer too, so good luck pressing charges on him if he escalates to something criminal, like stealing all her money. Oh honey, he doesn't misunderstand anything. He just wants you to support him while he has fun spending all the money. He knows how a joint account works. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to be the first to know about Red Rabbit Reader's new videos. If you like our videos, please like them on YouTube and share them with your friends. We welcome your comments below. Press to start another of our videos.